you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There's still a few agendas there on that. If anybody wants one, we don't charge for them, so. Notice to the public. The Board of Supervisors welcomes comments from the public during the time allowed for discussion. You are requested to approach the microphone, state your name for the record, and limit the time used to present your remarks in order that others may be given the opportunity to speak. The normal process on any agenda item is for the chairperson to read the item from the agenda, and the board is given an opportunity to comment on the issue and/or place a motion on the floor. An opportunity for discussion may be presented, at which time the public may participate and a roll call vote will follow. Okay, first item is approval of our agenda. And Deanne, is there a change we need to make in the agenda on these salaries?
Yes, on Cindy's, on number 7B, that should be 2343. That's going to.
So we're going from 2239 to 2343. Everything else the same? Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we amend the agenda as per the auditor's instructions.
In favor of doing this, roll call vote, please. A motion for approval of the amended agenda.
Mr. We approve the agenda.
Thompson.
Yes.
Slauson.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Has passed. Moving on then through years. We're tickled you were able to come this morning.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
You guys are busy and all. We sometimes for 5 years of service, we hereby present this certificate, and all 3 supervisors signed this. What you do.
Thank you.
I don't think the supervisors or any of the other citizens in the county realize the time and the things that you do. Okay, moving on then to the consent agenda. Approve the minutes from the regular session of May 30th, 2017. File clerk of district court report 517, general supplemental funds surcharge of $1,551.77. Marshall County Compensation Board appointments. Board of Supervisors, Board Representatives, reappoint Gary McKibben and Robert Thomas, 4-year terms, 7/1/17 through 6/30/21. County Attorney's Board Representative, reappoint Tom McCoy, 4-year term, 7/1/17 through 6/30/21. Approved claims as audited and authorized by the county auditor and recorder to issue payment of the same. The listing of the claims paid at this meeting and all claims paid in the month of June will be published as part of the first meeting in July. The chair would entertain a motion for approval.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to approve this consent agenda as printed.
Mr. Chair, I will second that.
Is there any further discussion?
No, sir.
If not, roll call vote, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Slauson.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes. The motion has been approved. Item number 7, approve personnel actions. Change rate of pay, Susan Umbenstock, Auditor Recorder's Office, full-time auditor, recorder, assistant, passport supervisor. Change rate of pay from $14.28 per hour to $14.75 per hour, effective July 1, 2017. The chair would entertain a motion on this.
Mr. Chair, I would motion that we approve the personnel action change rate of pay for Susan Umbenstock, Auditor Recorder's Office, full-time, Auditor and Recorder Assistant, Passport Supervisor, changing the rate of pay from $14.28 an hour to $14.75 an hour, effective July 1st, 2017.
Is there a second?
And I would second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to speak in regards to this. So Susan is one of my employees in my office, and she's actually the one that's been with me the least amount of time. But she's going to be taking over part of the, and she actually has been doing this for several months now. This is something, at budget time, I kind of went to her and said, you know, I really need a passport supervisor, someone to just make sure that we're doing everything that the federal government would like us to do, and kind of an overseer of some things and stuff. And so, one of the things I mentioned is because she hasn't been with us as long, I didn't want to give her something immediately at that point, and so I kind of waited until July 1st to do so. And she's
Okay.
been a great asset to our team.
So she's picking up more responsibility.
Yep.
Okay.
I think it's also fair to be said that all of the rate of pay increases are within your budget, and you've shifted around some responsibilities. This has not increased the budget. It has, you've done a very good job at managing the individuals under the auditor and recorders and staying within the directed budget funds, and
Yep.
I
So,
applaud you for that.
thank you. So basically at budget time, kind of looked over the auditor recorder's office after I came in. And I was actually one of the deputies of the recorder side. And because we are a dual office, one of the things that I noticed when I first came here is it didn't seem to jive the way that I wanted it to. And so when I became the one that could actually make the change, that was one thing I decided was to eliminate the position that I was carrying. Instead of me doing it, as well as the auditor recorder, what I did is I just had the individuals in their individual departments take those responsibilities. So this has been going on for a few months in some other areas, and it's worked great. With eliminating one position, we're saving, I think, the county about $60,000 with benefits.
Okay. It adds up, doesn't it?
It does.
Big
It
dollars
does.
after
And
a
I,
while.
and, you know, and I gave some nice raises and stuff, but my team is what I need.
Mm-hmm.
And they take on the responsibilities, and so not everything is on me all the time. So
Mm-hmm.
it's great.
Very good. Any further discussion? Any more questions from the board? Okay. If not, roll call vote, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Slauson.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes. Okay, moving on then to item number 7B, change rate of pay for Cynthia Reitzel, Auditor, Recorder's Office, full-time auditor, recorder, assistant, election supervisor, change rate of pay from $22.39 per hour to $23.43 per hour, effective July 1, 2017. The chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to approve this personnel action rate, change the rate of pay, Cynthia Reitzel, Auditor and Recorder's Office, full-time, Auditor and Recorder Assistant Election Supervisor, change rate of pay from $22.39 to $23.43 an hour, effective July 1, 2017.
Mr. Chairman, I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I'd like to speak more on this
Yes,
one.
please.
So when I became the auditor and recorder, Cindy was someone who worked with elections a lot, but she hadn't been in charge of it. And so when I came to the board the first year of my budget, we kind of discussed, you guys didn't want to go as high as what she was probably at that point needed. You said, well, let's give her some time, let's see how she does, type of thing. And I was okay with that. But now as many elections as we've done, this number is also corresponds with another representative in my office, my real estate deputy. So they're going to be at the same rate of pay. Now, my real estate deputy has been in that position for longer, but Cindy has been with Marshall County longer. So I I think between those two things and the huge responsibility that is on elections, as we know, I think it's a deserved praise.
I know the election supervisor position, it's a tough thing.
It is.
You're under a lot of pressure. There are people there watching from the community, and you gotta know what you're doing.
Yeah, well, code changes all the time on elections, and we'll be seeing a lot of that coming up as to how we have to implement things and some different things. But, and of course, you know, as soon as I was appointed, we decided that it seemed like every 2 weeks we were having an election here, and they hadn't done that in a long time. So we really got our feet wet on the election side, and feel pretty comfortable with it now, so.
Well, you had trial by fire. Your first election was a presidential election.
Well,
Second, but,
No,
you know,
my
it's
first
been a
was
real
the-
challenge.
Yeah, I've had several specials in a city and a school, and gone through a general and a primary, and we have 3 more elections still this year, so it's a busy time for us.
Yep.
It always seems to be, so.
Well, from our standpoint, I can't speak for these two, but I've noticed over the years, done several of the canvassing of the votes, that they've gone much smoother these last couple canvasses, and that's been greatly appreciated. The new equipment, the new way of presenting the information when we do canvass the vote, it's made it go much smoother, so I totally concur with you.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Solosek.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes. The motion is passed. Item number 7, C, hire Olivia Tim, Marshall County Conservation, full-time maintenance technician, rate of pay of $15.38 per hour, effective July 3, 2017. I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve this personnel action, hiring Olivia Tim, Marshall County Conservation, full-time maintenance technician at a rate of pay of $15.38 an hour, effective July 3rd, 2017.
Second.
And I would second.
Been moved and seconded. Michael, anything you want to say?
Just a little bit of background. This is a newly created maintenance position that's much needed with county park maintenance activities. We're responsible for 29 parks encompassing about 2,500 acres throughout the county, and presently we have 2 individuals to take care of those areas, including law enforcement patrol time. With this position, that will help us greatly with our checklist of duties and tasks to get done. In addition, with the growth plan for Greencastle Campground, to hopefully provide 60 sites when it's all said and done, provide income that will offset some of the upkeep that's needed for that in addition to this position.
But do you have any idea how many people for a period of a year? Now, some of those are going to be new ones, I understand, or repeated ones, but
That's a subject we just had a discussion on, and regarding purchasing some counters of just the entrance of each of our areas, major areas like Greencastle, Timmons Grove, Grimes Farm, Granite Grove. We had a trail camera set up at 3 bridges to try to find out who was doing some vandalism down there. In addition to capturing those images, the use of that facility was, we had no idea the traffic that entered and exited that area. So really, we don't have any estimation now, just from visual observations in our areas for Sand Lake, people fishing at night or in the evenings. Same thing with Greencastle. So, no, to answer your question, no, we don't.
okay.
But there's times when we notice an increase in traffic. Grimes Farm, progressively through the years, is increasing traffic. Every year we make comments to each other of the busyness the increase in business that we're getting.
Thank you. I just was curious about that.
I'll have an answer for you in the future on that.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on the motion before us?
No, sir.
No.
If not, roll call vote, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Slosik.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes. Okay, motion is passed.
Mike, just a comment on the counters, you might want to check with Marty Wymore. I know there were some counters that were purchased by Region 6 when they were working on a grant application for some of the bike paths. I don't know if he's still using them, but I believe he's got at least 4.
They're being used. We partnered with them on that project.
Okay.
Those counters are on some of the trails that we manage.
I know, but you know how I hate to reinvent the wheel if we can borrow it.
Yep.
Okay, moving on then to item D. Change rate of pay, Deanne Tomlinson, Treasurer's Office, full-time universal clerk. Change rate of pay from $15.09 per hour to $15.83 per hour, effective June 21, 2017. The chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to approve personnel action, change rate of pay for Deanne Tomlinson, Treasurer's Office, full-time universal clerk, change rate of pay from $15.09 an hour to $15.83 an hour, effective June 21, 2017.
Mr. Chair, I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded. I'm going to open it up for discussion then.
Howdy.
Sir.
Jarrett Heil, Marshall County Treasurer. This is a replacement of duties of the mobile home portfolio, managing all the mobile home parks, all the transfers, all the abatements and et cetera that we do with the mobile homes. We had an employee, our clerk that had done this before had moved on to other employment. This is one of our other clerks moving up, taking on this portfolio. So bottom line is, it's budget neutral, and it's moving her up to take care of those duties.
Okay, any questions for our treasurer?
Nope, just a comment. Way to stay within the budget again.
You got it.
It's part of the management team, and it's working out well.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the board?
No.
Roll call vote, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Slosik.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes. Okay. Motion is passed. Item number 8, Marshall County owned property discussion and possible action on future plans to Marshall County owned property at 2722 Garland Road, Marshalltown, Iowa, formerly owned by Wagon Property.
I can take the lead on that if
Okay.
that's all right. To give everyone a little background on this property became the property of Marshall County in 2015, I believe, after a FEMA buyout. The home that was on that property was removed, and being granted this property be restricted to being left as open space to preserve its natural floodplain. Sale of this property can only go to a public entity or to a conservation organization, but it can be leased to private individuals for purposes that are compatible with the FEMA, such as grazing, cultivation, park for outdoor recreational activities, and camping. From what I've been told. Expense. We have insurance for liability on this property. There's been a fair-sized area that's been tilled, assuming for a garden plot, and our weed commissioner is concerned about the Canadian thistle that's on this plot. And the county was not aware of anyone getting permission to till this area. I guess I would appreciate any comments on this situation and how this property should be handled in the future. Hopefully something will be done in the satisfaction of the neighbors.
You know, we did give Mr. Marks permission to mow because he has the adjoining property, if I remember right.
Okay.
There was never, and that was a verbal agreement. There never was any discussion of any cultivation or a garden.
Do we know for sure whose garden it is?
No, we don't. And is anyone here this evening?
That's, it's mine. Well, if you don't have it, just stand here.
Absolutely,
Sure.
yes.
Anyway,
State your name
I've been
and,
Kevin Marks.
okay, Kevin.
Anyway, I wanted to take care of the property. I wanted to buy the property, long story short. But, you know, like you say, there's a tie-up, we can't do that right now.
We can't, the only people we can transfer that property to have to be a public entity
Right.
or a recognized conservation commission.
But if you remember right, the property wasn't really cleaned up very well and policed up very good. I mean, I took a lot of siding up, a lot of chunks of concrete up. There was actually, there's a septic tank in the backside of that property that still remains in the ground that never got pulled. There was a burn pile of miscellaneous of stumps, siding, all kind of miscellaneous junk and everything that had come out of the house that I cleaned up. And the garden area is an area that I worked up because it had to be leveled up. And I said, well, just for giggles, I'm gonna throw a couple of those seeds out there. I planned on probably, it needed to settle down, and the ground wasn't turning up right. So I was gonna let it settle down, and maybe this fall or next spring I can reseed it again. That's what my plans were. But there's, even when I was doing through there, that is an area probably twice the size, maybe not quite this big, that I worked up, but the junk that I pulled up out of that yet again, policing it, that's what I'm trying to do. I had to work it up with a little, I had cultivator, my 3-point cultivator went through there and cleaned it up. But I want the property cleaned up. It's a reflection on my property or the neighbor's property. I don't want an eyesore. That's what I don't want. So.
Is it a garden?
Well, it's got one little row of beans on there, and I put little pumpkins on there like that. But it probably ain't gonna grow that great. Yes, it is kind of a garden. But I just threw something out there, just for giggles once. It probably wouldn't grow anything anyway. I got my own garden over there anyway. It probably ain't gonna produce anything. I needed to work it up so I could get all that crap out of there. I mean, all the junk and the siding and everything else I pulled out of there, that I hauled out. I hauled up 3 dump trailers full of stuff out of there, is what I hauled out of there. So,
Well, that's all well and good. But we didn't have any type of understanding between us
Right,
about any of this stuff, particularly digging it up and putting a garden in there. We were concerned that FEMA was gonna say, you're in trouble, supervisors. And you can't just go on someone else's property.
Well-
You know, and we don't have any agreement signed.
I know it.
And when you gotta walk a real tight rope when that happens, Mark. You can't just take over someone else's property. And this is how I felt this has been. I stopped and looked at the garden, and it isn't that big, and it isn't that good, as you explained. But, you know, if you need a garden, you've got 2 more lots that adjoin it, right?
Actually got 5.
5 lots,
Say
okay.
extra
So you
5.5.
really don't need a garden
No.
on that spot.
No.
Just, you
And
know,
that's basically what I did. I kind of worked the ground up and like that. And I said, just, well, for giggles once, I'll see if that grows good. I can't rattle their names. The Wiggins had a little garden back there. But the stuff that they had through there like that, I mean, the trash and stuff that was in there. And you had to get it worked up so you get it leveled off again and get it cleaned up.
Was the county aware of the
Well,
stuff that was still
I
out there?
told
yet?
them, I don't know just exactly which supervisor, and I ain't gonna say the supervisor to get him in trouble, but he told me to treat it as my own, and I says, I'm only gonna, to improve it. He said, we can't sell it, that's what he said. Our hands are tied right now, as he told me.
And that's
So,
true.
And I just wanna improve it. I mean, if I got Sanford and Son living next to me, it only makes my property look down, but if I got the Clampus living over here, I'm sitting a little taller. So that's about where I'm at. So,
there again, before we start changing the property,
Right.
you know, you gotta stop in and say something.
okay, well, I'll stop in
You know,
on the other that.
We can't, someone's gonna say, well, what's going on there? Well, we didn't even know,
Yeah.
you know?
The situation we may run into is if you have a garden there,
Have what?
if you have a garden there,
Oh, well,
You-
I can level it off right now and flatten it right now.
Okay.
That's no big deal.
let me finish, please.
Yeah.
If you have a garden there, you have other people in the county that would love to have a space for a garden
Oh.
and don't. You get into a situation where you're on county property without permission to do this. I know Steve has looked at this and has discussed it with both of us and asked us, and he's done his homework. A possibility that within the contract that it can be leased. If we were to lease this property out, we have to go through the proper procedures, no different than we do with the county farm, and open it up for everybody to lease that plot of land for a garden. Be very expensive to put it through that process. You may get something you don't want as a neighbor. You may get somebody that's gonna come in and if we put that out for a lease proposition, that may outbid you, and you may have literally a commercial garden going on there, and it would impede the quiet enjoyment of your property. So I think what the supervisors want to do is to try and keep everybody happy here, but part of that includes communication. And just for clarification, I seriously doubt that the supervisor that may have told you to treat this property of your own is sitting at this table. Would I be correct in that?
Well, honestly, this individual did, and I'm not gonna name his name.
But he's not sitting here, is he?
He's not sitting here, no.
Thank you.
Also, I probably took 3 trailer loads of limbs and stuff like that, with that windstorm we had come through here recently. I cleaned all that up like that, you know. It just reflection on everybody, reflection on Garvin Road, everybody lives on that road. And as far as that goes, I can have it this week, I can level it down, but my problem is right now, I don't think the grass is gonna grow that well, because we have a little dry spell right now. If we gotta see some rain in the future, I can put some seed down there and stuff, and maybe take hold again.
Okay.
That I will do.
I think if we have a little better communication here, you and mowing it and keeping it nice, that's a good deal.
Mhm.
It's a good deal for us.
Yeah.
And it's a good deal for you then if you want to keep it,
Yeah.
keep it that way. But we don't want to get in trouble
That's fine.
with the federal government. So we got to really watch what we do there.
Okay.
So,
We'd love to be able to sell this to you
Yeah, I know.
and get it back
It's
on
been
the tax
discussed before.
rolls.
It's been discussed before about that.
Yeah.
I know it's been discussed, but it just can't happen.
Right.
You don't fit within the parameters that we acquired this property through FEMA. We appreciate all you've done, your maintenance. It does abut up to the property on Garwin Road and keeping it mowed. But the garden is probably not a
That's
good
fine.
idea
It'll be
because
leveled off. It'll level off this week.
it's gonna open ourselves
Yeah.
up to somebody else, then the county is gonna say, why not me? Why Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, the only
And-
reason like that, it worked it up, and I had to work it up to get the dirt to turn like that, and then I picked up, all kinds of little, miscellaneous house turns. A lot of the deck work was back in there, a lot, different parts of the siding were back in there and stuff like that, and I disposed of all that myself, so.
probably, would it be good to say, you'd probably never get it all cleaned up?
Well, you're right, you know how you turn a little stone, and something pops up out of the dirt, but
Yeah.
let's say we got a pretty good percentage of it now, so.
Okay.
I personally appreciate what you've done there,
Yeah.
and keeping that property. It looks very nice, I think, when you go by. and
That being
that's-
said, there's some limbs that are hanging a little bit, it'd be, I only treat as it do on you as I'd wanna do on myself. So if I trim a limb or something like that, that's okay.
How would you like to deal with this?
I have no problem with that, and Bobby stated before that we are covered by our insurance.
Yes, we are.
Bobby, any concerns there from an insurability standpoint? Because he's not a county employee, if he's doing something, it's at his own volition? Okay.
Okay.
From a standpoint of protecting the county from a liability issue, I have no problem with it.
Do you feel it's necessary for him to do away with the garden at this point?
I don't-
Just back drag and get it cleaned out of there, and that'll be a done issue right there. That's fine.
I have no problem with it either way.
And then, first opportunity, we can see some rain and stuff like that, we'll get her seeded and hopefully take hold again, so.
I think that would be good.
Yeah, I think that's what we should do.
My position is I want the neighboring property owners to be as happy as they can be.
Absolutely. So do I.
Well, thank you for coming in.
Well, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm Randy Hall, I live at 2728 Garvin Road, so I'm just a couple houses up. And I just wanted to say, you know, before it was kind of a mess down there. For a little over a year, the house was surrounded with sandbags while they were waiting for the buyout, and took a while to get it torn down. And there was, you know, as Kevin said, there was kind of a big pile there of just the leftovers when they cleaned it up, kind of growing up with weeds, and is where the garden was. He got that cleaned up. But I just wanted to say he's done a really nice job down there, keeping it mowed. I mean, it looks like somebody's yard or a little park. It's been really nice for us because it was kind of a mess for a while, and he just keeps it looking nice.
Yep.
And we talked to the other neighbors, everybody kind of agrees. We appreciate the time he puts in to keep it looking like that. It does improve our property, it looks nice. I mean, there were a couple trees that the fire, when that garage burned, killed them. You know, he got those cut down. In the storm, one of them got busted in half. He's cleaned that up. I mean, it just looks nice. It's
Yeah,
always
that-
kept up, and we appreciate he puts all that time in down there, so.
The process of dealing with FEMA on this property was,
I know you guys, I think we're pretty fast on it, but I know that
we
just
were
takes
really
time.
quick, but dealing with FEMA was
Yeah.
absolutely
And we kind of heard that from
painful.
Weekends, you know.
Yeah.
You guys were real quick on it, and I know it took time, and
I know
there's nothing you can do about it.
the
It just
Wiegans
takes
made the
time.
comment, it was such a pain in the neck dealing with them. If they had to go through it again, I don't think they would have done it.
Yes, and we know that wasn't the county at all.
No.
But, you know, it's just been so nice for us to have it looking like it does, and everybody up and down our neighborhood has just been really happy that Kevin's doing that. So we just wanted to say, we appreciate it, we like the way it's been taken care of. It's just been great to have that done. You know, we'd like to see that keep going. Everybody would, just because it looks so nice, so. Just want to say that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming in.
Appreciate your work.
Are there any other comments? I think at this point, then, we'll let this thing ride. I don't think we need any action of any kind.
No, I don't think so.
And we're gonna work on our communication from our side and from your side.
Should I just touch base with you like every couple months, just stop in to say hi or something like that?
Any time you feel like it needs to be, yeah.
Yep,
Okay?
we just need to handle it in a public meeting,
Okay.
just like today, so we are transparent in what we're doing.
That's fine.
We don't want to get into a situation where, like I explained earlier,
Right.
you folks are doing this, the other 48,000 people in the county saying, why not me?
Right.
That's what we have to protect ourselves from.
Do you guys want a roll call vote for removing the garden? Because we haven't heard from individual, yes, no, yes, whatever.
You said you were going to do that,
I'm
right?
not, before the end of the week, I'll back drag and stuff like that. And I'll get, there's the chunks where it was too chunky to get seated back in there and stuff like that. And I kinda worked up a little bit to get more, you know, miscellaneous stuff out of there. Back dragging again, and first
At this time, with the work you've done, I really, with what we've done here today and the understandings, I really don't have a problem if you leave it there for this year.
Oh, it ain't nothing really.
Okay.
So, there's like one little row of beans and some pumpkins for granny business about it.
Okay.
I think we've had discussion on this. I don't think we need a roll call vote. Okay, thanks again. Let's move on then to item number 9, the Bacon Web Portal presentation. Ryan Smith, Business Development Manager with Schneider Corporation, will present the Bacon Web Portal discussion item.
For the record, it's Beacon, not Bacon.
Beacon.
Well, he's still thinking about breakfast.
I'm sorry. I knew better, but I don't know why I did that.
Morning, everyone.
Morning. Good to see you again.
Item number 8 is why I love public meetings. All right, I'm going to be sitting. I'll try to dance around a little bit, but I have this cord. So I'll just, before I start, my name is Ryan Smith. I'm with the Schneider Corporation. We're based out of Indianapolis, Indiana. We also have an office in Ankeny, Iowa as well. My boss, Andrew Harrison, is the director of our business development team. He was on his way back from Kentucky to Indianapolis, and I was like, hey, why don't you stop by Marshalltown? It's on the way home. So Andrew was nice enough to join me today. just to kind of fill in the gaps. So I worked really hard on a presentation all weekend, and as soon as I started working on it, I decided I'm not going to do a PowerPoint, I'm just going to show you the live website. So I'm just going to start, I've chatted with each of you individually at different times throughout the past couple of years. I even chased down Dave in his hardware store, you know, carrying a laptop, trying to find him, trying to give a demo. But today what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through and give a demo of our Beacon web portal. We currently have all the counties surrounding Marshall County except for Tama County. And I felt the time was right to ask if I could be on the agenda to present the website today. So I'm going to show you an example of what 99% of the people usually do, and then I'll kind of show some other neat little fun stuff. Okay, so this is the Beacon web portal. This is where you get all your information for your county. It's not just assessor, it's supervisors, it's a highway department, so it's a lot of different departments that are involved. So when I go in, I'm just going to Google search Beacon. First thing I can do is I can go here, search my state. So I'm going to do Iowa. Don't worry, Lisa, I'll pick on you here in a little bit. And then, so I'm going to go to Grundy County, which is the county north of here. So when I go in, it gives me some different options: property search, view map, cemetery search. And actually, as I was starting to go through this, the previous item at the agenda, or on the agenda, this website would be a great example to add to that discussion. I can pull up the property in a public forum. I can show the information. I can show the map. I know who owns it. I know who the landowners are around that. So if I type here, I'm going to go ahead and look for one of my cousins. I'm going to type Smith. But before I go to that, notice how it autofills. There's a lot of different search options on here. No two counties are exactly the same in the United States. We have more than 500 counties across the United States that have this website. And no two are exactly the same, but the framework is the same, because every county has a little bit different taste on what they want to have available. So I can search by all the property in a specific city, or if I want to search by a specific name, I can do that as well. And then on the right-hand side, over here, I know you guys probably can't see that, but it has all the information, contact information for different departments. So I can put Dave's personal cell phone number on there, so the citizens can easily contact him.
We'd like that.
Yep, okay. That's okay? All right.
I didn't even see that bus.
Well, maybe we'll give it to the new guy. Maybe Steve will put his number on there. So anyways, so I can type Smith. Then I'll hit search. And then what it does is it shows me all the results. So it shows 66 property owners with the last name Smith in Grundy County. So I can turn on and off. This just shows the property photos. Me personally, I like to use this to identify, especially in Iowa, if it's ag or if it's residential really quick. So I can click here, click on my property. And right here it'll show the property photo. I have a website link here for the booking page. So as I'm starting to scroll through, so it's all on one nice page. So it's pulling from your GIS, your CAMA, and your tax, and then any other items that you want to have that are within the county. So as I keep scrolling down, it's going to have all this information here. If there's any agriculture buildings on site, it'll show that as well. It shows you all the different valuations year over year, and then it also shows the tax as well. I can also pay my property taxes. It'll take me to a link to the Iowa Treasurer site or whichever. I believe, is that who you guys use, Iowa Treasurers? Yeah, in Iowa specifically, everyone almost uses the Iowa Treasurers, but in other states, there's a lot of different vendors out there that we work with. It shows my tax history, and it also shows too if I have a balance. And because our website is updated on a daily basis, you know all that information is correct. So whatever the citizen is looking at, you are also looking at as well within your office. So that's why I like it. It's a two-tiered approach. The citizens love using it because of the transparency, but then also the employees are not having to get up and go to a filing cabinet, dig something up. Everyone's looking at all the same information on the same day. There's also sketches as well. You can click on that. So this is what we call our this is what we call our parcel report page. So what I can also do then is I can either share this by email, sending a hyperlink, or I can click here, and it'll actually make a nice clean PDF showing all of that information available. So I can print this out. It's time stamped, so that way if someone's bringing an old printed information, you have that time stamp to protect you in the office so you know the person, or when that person printed that out. So now I'm gonna jump to the map, and notice how it nicely flows here. So I did pick out an ag property. So I have this here, so I can click and zoom around the map. So I have all my GIS layers here on the left-hand side, so it's not just parcel information. I have my CSRs. I can pull up school districts, supervisor districts. Are you guys at large or districts?
At large.
So in this case, you probably wouldn't need something like that, but in Grundy they have districts, so if you need to find out who your representative is at the county. Here we have GPS monuments, so just a lot of different layers. We do not put a limit on our clients with how many layers. Some have 50, some have 200. Some have been a little more creative than others. I think I jokingly I was showing someone how even Delaware County has their barn quilt maps, or barn quilt locations on a map. And that's where I think we kind of put okay, let's slow it down here, guys. But anyways, so it's all this information here. I can also hover over any of the properties, so if I need to know who owns any properties around me. I found this to be very useful. Growing up in a small town myself, we had some hunting property nearby. We're finding out that a lot of hunters are actually starting to use this as well. They know where the property line is. Everyone has cell phones now. I can access all this on my mobile device. So, if I shoot a deer, I know exactly where that property line is. I can follow them through. And just so I know who owns what property, just by clicking a few buttons. Same with this, I can hit print, and I can actually make a custom map specific to what I want to put on here. I can remove items. I can turn on and off these if I don't want to have the scale bar or the legend. Then I hit print as PDF, and it'll actually, so it's starting to process that PDF. I'll let that load up. There we go. So I have that information there. So moving to another county. Oh, actually, let me go back. I want to show you something. Yep, that's what I wanted to jump to. I knew I forgot something. So we also have the CSR soils. So if I need to look at what the land is like. So my dad was a farmer. I grew up in northern Illinois. And when a farm is for sale, you go and you drive around. And you say, yep, that's 40 acres. Okay. Now you're able to look at all this information here. If I know what kind of soil it is, I can do some research. I can also, if I go back here and click on that piece of property, there we go. I'm going to go to my parcel report, similar to what I showed you earlier. There's no house on this one, obviously. It's agriculture class. I can click here to see what other properties this person owns in the county. Not only that, I can actually attach the soil report. So then I have a good idea as a prospective buyer. I know exactly what type of soil is on this ground. In this case, it looked like I picked out a really good piece of ground. But this even has a 95 CSR too. So then I have a better idea of what's cropped, non-cropped, if there's any CRP on there. So I can do all this research. I have my contact information of the assessor, the auditor. If I need to contact anyone, I have the GIS person. If I need any more custom-made maps.
Is it giving the total number of acres of each of the soil types?
Absolutely. Yep. So right here, it shows exactly. It says 43.14 acres of the 95 CSR. So using some of our other GIS tools that we provide, it also has that as well.
And the nice thing is everything's portable down to your phone. So the technology, there's no apps to download or anything. You just go to the website. It automatically knows the type of device you bring to the table, and then it reformats the screen size to fit the device based on the type of device you have. So it just does that responsive design.
Yep. Is James in the room? We never built anything on what is it?
Silverlight.
Silverlight. So for the IT nerds in the room, we skipped over Silverlight. Long story short, what that means is all of our competitors built everything in Silverlight except for us. So if you had an iPhone or iPad, you could not use your county's own mapping software because it was on Silverlight. If there's anything you want to add to that, James, feel free.
So far, so good.
All right.
The other thing to note is, we have a lot of your surrounding counties, and so I ran some stats before we came here. I like to play with the numbers, and so we handled about 3.5 million requests for county government information in this area, And that came from a total of about 170,000 visits, plus or minus, inside there. But more importantly, that's about a little over 2,000 visitors a day coming through looking for information. And this is what the public is very used to in Iowa for seeing the delivery of this information. So they're very accustomed to the buttons and the functionality and how things operate.
So also, if I wanted to look up someone with the last name Gassman in Poweshiek County, I can look up their property information here. I can go to the map. It shows me the 2 estates that they own here. And then I can also
Lakeside Estates.
Yeah, so I can also use some other tools too. So if Lisa's throwing a big party and she needs to notify everyone within 100 feet of her parcel, I can click buffer. And what it's done, it's identified all properties within 100 feet. I go back to my results. And then right here, I have all the properties within 100 feet. I click here. And I've just made mailing labels for those people. So now she can send out postcards to all of her neighbors and tell everyone about the big party, including the association, it looks like here.
And not all this functionality needs to be public, so things
Correct.
can sit behind a password and so.
Yep. And the other thing too, so if I click on another property, we also have something called comparable search. A lot of banks, appraisers, attorneys will use this. So I can click on this property and then I can go to my comparables. And so I can look for something that's most comparable to this specific property. And I can pick and choose by year if I want to do total living area. And just, this should generate some results. Hopefully not half the county. But then what I can do also is I can add and subtract columns. So if I want to add sale date, so then I can search by most recent sale date. So then I can go to this property that's most comparable to that just by those the year built and the square footage. And then now I have the most recent comp, at least by just doing a couple items. Obviously, you can play around with it, as appraisers are going to do, and get a little bit more specific on the rest per property.
It'll also show all of those results on the map too, so you can look at it in the map perspective. It's just see geographically. He did the whole county in that case.
But here I just click on this person's name and it tells me all the property that they own in this specific county. What's nice is too is once you're searching within the map, it only allows you to search within the county itself. It doesn't allow you to go outside of your county, so there's no confusion by the user. They know whatever they're searching is going to be within Marshall County. Any questions before I show you a couple of cool things?
Yeah, Ryan, when,
Yes, sir.
if you get a new county,
Yes.
how long does it take for Beacon to get all this stuff of that county put on this computer?
Well, that's a good question. So, so we use, we're repurposing everything that's in the county, and so what we have to do is we set up our technology with IT that'll let us into the servers with restricted passwords, and then our software looks for anything that's changed, and then it packages that up and it sends it to the cloud basically every night so that people can view it. So it's disconnected from the county completely. The nice thing with Iowa, of course, is we're very familiar with the software that's running throughout all the counties, and so it doesn't take that long. Right now, we've got a bit of a backlog, but we've had counties start as little as 2 weeks. Right now, we might be saying maybe more like 2 months, but it depends on the urgency. Quicker usually is a scenario maybe when a provider has dropped off and they don't have them anymore, and they're like, hey, we're not going to have service if you can't help us out, then we can get things going pretty quick. But right now, it's about 2 months.
Now, you said you're involved with a number of counties in Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do half the counties in Iowa, or where are you at?
We officially we're at 65.
65?
And there's also a few cities as well involved with that.
Mhm.
Mason City, City of Ames, City of Esterville has their own website. There's a few others.
And you can go to the main portal. So usually the county will go directly to the search. They won't go through this, but you could go there and see all the other counties that are in the platform now.
Yep. Like I said, you just Google search Beacon and you can go on to it.
But the nice thing is we've shown a lot of property, and I know we got limited time here today. But the other thing that the system does, as well as it reports property information, I can report any information about assets that the community owns. So I know Brian likes to show the roads and bridges sometimes in other states. So some of the other communities have added things, like we had cemetery search in Grundy, you seriously just type, they inventory all that, you type a name, and it finds that cemetery plot in the community and gives you the information they've stored about that. Any other piece of information you guys have, we can host inside here. And the best way to show that, so this is the cemeteries.
I just typed the death year 1908.
Yeah, so this one here, and you can see, in this case, they've done a lot of research and they've populated a lot of information. They got a photo of the stone. They've got the property itself, so you can see it on the map. But, you know, those are really specialty style projects inside of there, but more practical ones are roads and bridges, assets that you guys have to manage throughout. So we've got a community that put basically anything the engineering groups had done about their assets in their community and then pushed it out, so.
Where's that at? Is it down?
You can do it under demo, right there.
Oh, yeah. So what this is showing all the bridges that are located. So I highlight that. I can click on a bridge. Go to my report. And it gives me the attributes, gives me some information, additional photos, and also comes with a nice printed PDF as well. Getting back to what Andrew was saying, you know, this would be internal, but this is something where you would give an engineering company a temporary password to maybe access something like this. So instead of them being on site for 4 days, you know, going around the courthouse trying to find things, they can be in their own office for a couple days prior to visiting and doing a little bit of research.
And as Ryan said earlier, you know, the conversation earlier about the property, this is a great tool to have all of those things at your fingertips, and then to see that map and to be able to communicate that. Well, you guys have all visited that property, you know what it means. As an outsider, you know, I'm trying to envision what this was, and so to have these tools available can really help out. Because not only can we do this, but you know, he's out in the country there, but if we connect him with Google Street View, with Bing, so you can instantly access that location by just dropping a point on the map, and we'll see if Google's driven out in the country there.
I don't know if they went here, we'll find out.
Yeah, you never know. They like to go everywhere more.
But just the previous discussion was a great example in Keokuk County. I was in a boardroom setting, and there were, believe it or not, a couple neighbors were arguing. It was during some flooding, and one guy had land higher than the other, and he had a backhoe and was just letting his water go into the neighbor's field. But the supervisors had no idea of a frame of reference of where it was exactly located. They were able to pull up Beacon. I guess Google Street View didn't go there. They were able to pull up Beacon in just a few seconds and get a better frame of reference on where it was located, what roads, what the crossroads were, and who were the surrounding landowners, versus relying on just some discussion. So it just, I'm a map guy. I went to college with a geography degree. My parents said I was crazy. When I switched my major to geography, they're like, what are you going to do with that? I said, don't worry about it. So here I am now in Marshall County. But what I mean is I love having that spatial reference, that picture to help tell the story when you're trying to describe something.
And the other part that this lets us do is on the administration side, we can tell when the users are using the site. So a lot of your usage is going to happen when the courthouse is closed. So you can see statistically, you know, what time of day they're using. Obviously through the day it's a little bit more active, but over the nighttime what they're doing, over the weekends, and what resources they're looking at. Are they looking at the property record card? Are they looking at the map? It doesn't tell us who's looking at that. It just tells us statistically what parts are being used the most, so that we can make sure that that information is relevant, you know, which is critical. And I heard the word transparency a few times too, so making sure that we can make Marshall County as transparent as possible.
I'll end with this. You know, this is one of our websites, but we are a full-service GIS provider for the state of Iowa. Other items I've discussed, I gave a demo to Kim. We have a damage assessment tool that Grundy has and a few other counties have, where if some damage occurs, they're able to quickly, that night, be able to send some information to the state. The state has been very receptive of that, so then they can get an estimate of how much damage, because they use the assessment value to get a percentage of that value, and they know where that damage is located. And then also too, we even have a permitting program that Marion County has actually implemented with Beacon. So I'm on Beacon, oh, I need to apply for a permit, it takes me right here. So I'm able to now begin to apply for a permit through our website as well. So it's, Beacon is a full service, it's not just assessment info, it's a true county communication tool. Any questions from the board?
I'm not sure this is fair to ask, but what is an average cost to these 65 counties? What would be an average cost to have your thing working?
Well, it's tiered, so it's based on a parcel count, so it's how many parcels a county has, and so it does vary across the state, so.
I believe you're right under the 25,000.
24%-ish? Yeah, 25, 26.
I think I put you in, it's 24,999.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
And it does factor in on the options you have, so you can go anywhere from $6,000 to $12,000. It really depends on the types of features you put into the system, so.
Annually or monthly?
Annually.
Okay. I appreciate your comments on transparency. I appreciate your comment that you approached all three supervisors separately. Running me down at my place of business, you were promptly told this needs to be in a public meeting, and we don't do those things here. That was for your benefit, Adam.
I was there by a girl.
Yeah. I'd like to hear, we've got the majority of our real estate users group here. We've got the county assessor, we've got auditor recorder, we've got IT, we've got the treasurer's area. I'd like to hear from you guys what your thoughts are on this, and I'd also like to hear where we've been going down this road these last few years with DevNet. Are we looking at a replacement here? Are we looking for an augmentation of what DevNet has done? Are we reinventing the wheel and starting all over again? What are your thoughts?
From an IT standpoint, this would replace a product called Wedge, which is the current web-based real estate system. It would not replace DevNet itself. The core of the actual program that we use would remain. This does, from just an IT and GIS standpoint only, all that Wedge does, plus just a ton more. I mean, I'm a previous customer, so I'm fully aware of what it's capable of doing, and it's always been very impressive from an IT and GIS standpoint.
At this point, then, what does Wedge cost us?
You know, I think they basically blend it in with the total package, so I don't believe it's broken down separately. They just have an annual maintenance agreement. For
I
that
see.
umbrella.
So the Wedge is part of the DevNet?
Basically, yeah. They
Okay.
don't break it out to that detail.
The concern I have, first off, is we are already on a DevNet platform where everything is talking to each other. And that's what we want to have for the future. I wasn't prepared to, talk or, to kind of know what we were doing here today, but my first thought would be is to, how many systems do we want? Different systems in the courthouse. The more you put in different ones and stuff, the more that one person has to know all of those systems or be able to discuss with those individuals and stuff. So the nice thing about having DevNet as one of the reasons why we went with them is we can have the auditor, recorder, the treasurer, the assessor, our web, I have Recorder Wedge, which is on the internet as well. It's all integrated within each other. So I guess that would be one of my concerns coming from my standpoint.
Is there any reason that Wedge couldn't run still with Beacon running? I mean, Beacon's portal, does Wedge have to leave if you go Beacon?
Well, they're kind of getting the same information.
But if someone wanted to use Wedge, is they more comfortable with it? They aren't, I didn't know if they were.
They're not mutually exclusive, no.
Or you can, switch
I'm
over.
not sure
on
why
your
we
schedule.
would want to maintain both.
Well, yeah.
Usually you pick a phone, but theoretically it is possible.
Yeah.
I was just wondering.
Craig, do you have any thoughts, Craig, on?
At this point, my concern would be the interaction between the two systems, how well they work together, as far as moving information back and forth between the two.
I'll just, go ahead.
Ryan, the day you came to talk to John,
Mhm.
how was it left? Could the e-permitting system as it exists today still stay our system?
The discussion that I had with, is it John? It was John.
John Coons.
Yes.
Yeah. Planning and zoning.
When I was looking at that with him, it looked like it was a web, how do I say it? It was a web accessed program.
Yes.
We came to the conclusion, just by looking at that, when I showed him the beacon, I showed him that specific item on Marion, and he said, well, that's just going to another website, right? I said, correct. And that's when he's like, well, isn't this just going to a website? So I would have to do, I'd have to do a little bit more research before giving an official answer on that, but the advantage with the permitting program that I did not highlight was that when you go into the permitting program, it actually pulls 75 to 80% of the items from the beacon site, so that when you do a permit, everything's auto-populated and you know it's correct. The less, John and I were joking about it, the less you allow the person to type in themselves, the better it is for everyone at the county, because it's being auto-populated. Your legal description, just the person's name. Believe it or not, people will misspell their own name on someone's application. So my point is, it works much better when they're working together, but we pride ourselves in always working, with other systems, if that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and across the country, we integrate with CAM tax, treasurer, recorder, GIS, all over the place. It's what we do. It's what we do extremely well. So it's seamless for you. There's really nothing on your part to have to manage. It takes care of itself. So that's something we do really well. So I appreciate that. It is a genuine question to ask, but it is definitely something that we manage really well.
I guess, another, on the budget side, we're already getting the features within what we're already paying for. So I guess I'd like to see if you, or I guess, who brought this to the table today?
This was just a presentation that he went through, James, and my directive was public meeting.
I asked Lisa to, for the record, I asked Lisa to be on the agenda.
Just not.
I'm not for or against or
I-
anything.
and-
just
and I'm
saying
not
we haven't
either.
looked into any of
They
them.
just asked to do a
You're actually,
presentation.
part of what you were saying is actually why people go with Beacon, because you have Vanguard, you have all these different systems, and instead of county employees trying to figure out how to get all this stuff to work together, that's what Beacon does. It takes everything and puts it into one nice destination.
Well, and the other part too is,
Including
to be,
DevNet.
to be brutally honest, the courthouse usage will be very minimal compared to the public usage. And that's what we handle really well, is the public and how they access information and what they're looking for. We don't want to change your workflows internally and how you guys do business. But what we can do is we can help the way the public comes to get to it. As we said, there's millions of requests for information going through the Beacon platform for your surrounding area. So the public around you is very familiar with how to access this data in this format. And that's what we do really well. And on the side, we add a lot of nice tools that can help your office too. But there's a lot of things that the county does, and they have tools designed for exactly what local government does already in place. And so this is definitely a tool that is going to help outside the building substantially. It'll help internally too, but as you said, there's things you use, and it will take time to adapt and to change those, or you may not use them. Many communities we go to, they'll say, well, I haven't opened the site in months, but I've handled 1 million requests for information from the public, and that's what it does really well. So.
No doubt, Beacon's a good product. We see it today. And the competition is good. These discussions are certainly very good. I think probably what we need to determine is the cost, figure out what exactly the cost is for a wedge versus what's supposed to be here. And what the ton more is that James said, what's the ton more that Beacon can do that wedge currently doesn't do, and what wedge can't develop as well. And I think we need to do that analysis on that and determine if it's worth pursuing further or not. I think that analysis would have to be done, and also the analysis of users being comfortable with all the time that's been put into the development of the wedge product. Do we just waste our time with that, or what's the value of what we've done and where we want to go? And I think that analysis would be what we need to do to determine that.
Remember, we are not replacing CAMA or tax.
No, we understand that,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think.
And then also, we do the internal edge portion of DevNet. It's the internal website or is it, I can say, application to view things, and I don't know is that even anything that Beacon is talking about? Okay. So, because we do some internal uses, and then there's the public site.
And typically in our office, we're on the public site most of the time, just because when the public is calling us, we're discussing the things that they're looking at and what they're seeing, so it's easier for us to be on the public site.
You also have to consider the e-permits portion of this. We've put substantial dollars into e-permit, which is a program that was written. And this would replace this, as I understand that correctly?
There's an option.
Okay.
There are other modules is.
The permitting item I talked about in the Beacon, those are separate softwares, separate pieces.
Do you have to have the whole Beacon package to get that, or could that be a small add-on if that's all the county went with was the e-permit?
You can buy permitting on your own, you can buy Beacon on your own, but like anything else, if you buy both from the same company, they're gonna work a little better.
So to populate the e-permits might be an issue.
Yeah.
I will say, as someone who has used Wedge a lot recently, and I don't use it for work, it gets a little cumbersome and messy, and sometimes it's hard from a layman's term or point of view to find exactly what I'm looking for. And the presentation I saw there, it's all together. I don't have to drop down 6 different tabs and scroll through a bunch of stuff to figure out the square footage on the property.
Okay, are there any further questions? You've had a very good presentation.
Thank you.
You took our questions well. Thank you very much. I'm thinking we'll have some more questions, and we can continue conversation down the road. And can't tell you we're going to do this. Can't tell you we're not going to do this. We're just.
So I can't make a motion to.
You can, but it's probably going to die for lack of a second.
But your presentation was very good. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming in and spending your time to help us. And we'll talk about this within our staff and check back with us.
Sounds good. I live in Des Moines, you know I will.
So,
All
very
right,
good.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
James, just leave it. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, moving on now to item number 10, which is Resolution 2017-0032. This is appointment of a local representative, and this is to go on I'm going to skip to the last paragraph here, and it says, be it further resolved that following the selection of a representative, the Board of Supervisors are to notify the City Development Board by sending a copy of this resolution, including the appointed individual's full name, local mailing address, and social security number. We are not probably going to supply the social security number, but we are certainly going to supply the name and the mailing address. And if the city wants a social security number, they can contact that person. If it's okay with the other supervisors, I would entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to adopt resolution number 2017-0032, appointment of local representative. The board appointed Robert Duke, 2604 Smith Avenue, Marshall County, Iowa, to serve on the county representative.
I would second that, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
So what board will he be serving on? Sorry, I didn't have to read through the whole.
This is the group of individuals that is requesting to unannex themselves from the city.
Okay.
And in the process, both the city and the county have to appoint somebody to sit on that board.
Okay.
This is our appointment to that board.
Some of the things they have to...
Steve, did I get that
Yes,
pretty much right?
absolutely, yes.
Because I know you went and spoke with this
I
gentleman.
did, yes.
They have to be in Marshall County. They have to be a voter in Marshall County. Other than that, they have to be alive. But that's about all, isn't it, Lisa?
Well, they can't be a voter if they're dead, so
Yeah.
we'll take them
Well,
off
only in
that list.
Chicago.
We'll take
And
them off that list.
then they only vote on one side of the ballot.
Okay.
Bob will be very objective and very good person to have on this board, so.
You actually went out and sat down and talked to
Absolutely,
him.
yes, I did.
Yeah, very good. Any further discussion, questions?
No, sir.
If not, roll call vote, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Slosik.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes. Okay, motion is passed on this day, and today is 12, is that right?
13th.
13 of June, 2017. Moving on then to item number 11 is Resolution 2017-0033, appropriation of funds for fiscal year 2017-18, whereas it is desired to make appropriations for each of the different offices and departments for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2017, in accordance with Section 331-434, Section 6 Code of Iowa. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Supervisors of Marshall County as follows. And this goes down through every department. This is the amount of money there that we'll spend, and we've gone through the budget many times actually with each one of these departments. And if there's no discussion or questions about that, I'm going to move to entertain a motion to accept this resolution, or adopt this resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we adopt resolution number 2017-0033, which is the appropriation of funds for fiscal year 2017-2018.
And I would second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Questions? If not, roll call vote, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Slosik.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes. Okay. Resolution has been adopted. Resolution in item number 12 is 2017-0034, advanced issuance of payments. And we'll run down through this. The Board of Supervisors pursuant to Section 331-506, Sections 3A and B, Code of Iowa, may authorize Iowa or the county attorney, recorder, auditor, recorder, I can't read today, I'm sorry, authorize the county auditor and recorder to issue payment in session for the following purposes: fixed charges including but not limited to freight, express, postage, water, light, and telephone service or contracted services after a bill is filed with the auditor and recorder. Number 2, salaries and payrolls. If the compensation has been fixed or approved by the board, the salaries or payroll shall be certified by the officer or supervisor under whose direction or supervision the compensation is earned. Therefore, be it resolved to authorize the county auditor or recorder to issue payments for the aforementioned when said board is not in session. Be it further resolved, all bills paid under provisions of Section 331-506, Section 3A and 3B, Code of Iowa, shall be submitted to the board for review and approval following payment. Dated Marshalltown, Iowa, this 13th day of June 2017. At this point, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to adopt resolution number 2017-0034, advanced issuance of payments for fiscal year 2017-18.
Mr. Chairman, I would second that.
Okay, is there any discussion or further questions in this?
And this is a fiscal year beginning July 1st of this year, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
If not, roll call vote, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Slosson.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes. Okay. This resolution has been adopted. Okay, public events held on county property. This is item number 13. Discussion and possible action on a request from Jerry Best for permission to use the courthouse grounds for the nationwide Public Square Rosary event Saturday, October 14th from 12 to 1 p.m. on the Marshall County Courthouse grounds. In the event of rain, they request the use of the courthouse steps. This rally will be one of many rallies where people will be praying for peace, protection, and blessings on our country and the world, and an end to all the violence we hear about daily. Is there someone here to speak to this?
No.
If not, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve this request.
Is there a second?
I second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
This is the second time they've done this. Just keeping with our policy that anybody that makes a request to use the courthouse grounds, they're allowed to do so as long as it's peaceable assembly and not breaking any laws and not violating anything.
And if they need a drop cord for electricity, all people who do that, all groups, they get the electricity free.
Yep.
And we just want to make sure that everybody in the community understands that. If there's no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Slosson.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes. Okay, motion and item 13 is passed. Item number 14, Sheriff's Department Extension to 28E Agreement between Marshall County and the City of Albion for law enforcement protection. Discussion and possible action on extension of 28E Agreement between Marshall County and the City of Albion for law enforcement protection within the corporate limits of the City of Albion. The agreement is effective July 1, 2017 through June 30th, 2018. The City of Albion agrees to pay Marshall County the sum of $11,940. The chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to approve the extension of 2080 agreement between Marshall County and the City of Albion effective July 1, 2017, June 30th, 2018. The City of Albion agrees to pay Marshall County the sum of $11,940.
Mr. Chairman, I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Oh, just a comment, this goes along with our other 2080 agreements, which is basically $50 per occupied dwelling or water meter and $300 per liquor license. That's how they arrive at the amounts.
And there's, 11 towns within our county that use this. How many? 9.
Yeah.
Okay, the others have their own police department and do their own.
Yep.
Okay.
State Center of Melbourne do their own
Roads.
roads.
Okay, and Marshalltown. Yeah, okay. If there's no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Slosson.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes. 14, item number 14 has passed. Item number 15, cigarette, tobacco, nicotine, and vapor permit application. Request from Pandora, is that how they say it?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Pandori.
Pardon?
Pandori.
Pandora. Petroleum Incorporated and Renhava Travel Center for the cigarette, tobacco, nicotine, and vapor permit effective July 1, 2017 through June 30th, 2018. The chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve this request.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Do they all include vapor permits too?
I believe they do now, and this is just something that they make that application to the state of Iowa. The state of Iowa approves it, and then it comes back to us for adoption.
It's treated as one permit then?
It's basically kind of like the liquor licenses, and it's outside of the incorporated limits. So we used to have two different places, being Randhawa's outside of Melbourne, and then we had the convenience store at Rhodes, or not Rhodes, the Harvester, and now it's just down to this. So these are things we do on an annual basis with them.
Any further discussion?
No.
If not, roll call vote, please.
Thompson?
Yes.
Slosson?
Yes.
Patton?
Yes. Motion is carried. Number 16, authorized lease purchase agreement. Discussion and possible action on the authorization of a lease purchase agreement for 2 Dodge Rams 1500 SSV trucks and 2 Dodge Charger pursuit vehicles for the Sheriff's Office. Public hearing was held on February 7th, 2017. The chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve the lease purchase agreement and authorize the chairman to sign.
And I would second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
I did go back and check with our notes on our budget meeting, and it was for the proper amount of vehicles that we had agreed on at budget time, and that we also held that public hearing on February 7th, so everything matched up with what we'd previously done.
Any questions? If not, roll call vote, please.
Slosson?
Yes.
Thompson, sorry.
Yes.
Slosson?
Yes.
And Patton?
Yes. Motion is carried. Number 17, approval of final union agreements, discussion and action on approval of final union agreements for Sheriff's Office deputies, jailers, Sheriff's Office clerical staff, and authorize the chairman to sign. These contracts are effective July 1, 2017, June 2020. The chair would entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to approve the final union agreements for Sheriff's Office deputies and jailers, Sheriff's Office clerical staff, and authorize the chairman to sign.
Mr. Chairman, I will second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Thompson?
Yes.
Slosson?
Yes.
Patton?
Yes. Motion is carried. We're down to item number 18. Public forum is a time set aside for the public to make comments on topics of county business other than those listed on this agenda. No action will be taken on any of these topics brought up in the public forum.
Here. July 8th.
State your name.
Oh, yeah, Lucas Badke, I'm the Buildings and Grounds Director. Thank you. July 8th is the date set for the Marshall County auction. It will be held in the parking lot directly east of the courthouse. They'll be using our shop as kind of a headquarters to run transactions, things like that, because I think they need some internet services. I'll get with James on that. But I just want to make it, let everybody know that July 8th is a Saturday, will be the date for it, and here in the next few weeks, we'll be accepting things from different departments to be sold at the auction.
Do you have a time that it's going to begin
Morning.
at this point?
I don't have an exact time
Okay.
yet, no.
Do you have an auctioneer?
Yes, Doug West,
Okay, very good.
And the day again?
July 8th.
When we get closer, we're going to need to make a more specific announcement as to the date and the times.
Yep, we will. I just wanted to get that out there. We got the date set. Well, we had talked about a date previously, Bill and I talked to Doug last Friday, and he confirmed that date worked with him, so I wanted to let everybody know.
Probably at our next official board meeting.
Yeah,
We need to have this as a.
Yeah, next week I'm gonna really start hammering out, getting things together so I can get him a solid list of what all we will have.
And if you do get it nailed down before then, we have a radio program on Monday coming up.
Okay.
We can also make mention of it then.
Okay.
You could even come to the radio program with us and talk about it.
I definitely
You
could.
could do that.
Yeah, that
I could
would-
do
that
a
would-
You
lot.
take my place. I'll be gone. I could be gone.
You both gonna be gone?
Not yet, but it's looking like if he's gonna take an empty chair,
I don't know if I
it
can
could
handle
work
that kind of
out.
pressure.
Hey, good deal. That's
I'm
fine.
pretty sure I hear Billy Bass calling me from somewhere.
Anybody else? Not, item number 19, adjournment. The next regular meeting is June 27, 2017 at 9 a.m. All business to be acted upon at this session should be submitted to the county auditor and recorder's office or the Board of Supervisors office by Thursday, June 22nd, July 17, at 1 p.m. There being no further business to come before the board, the meeting is adjourned at 10:26 a.m. Thank you for coming.